वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. We saw the chief message of the Bhagavad Gita, which instantly removes the depression of our mind, despondency of our mind, when Shri Krishna calls upon Arjuna to give up his faint-heartedness and to stand up and fight. And tells Arjuna, gives a very strong dose, Klebhyam mas magama partha. Don't become a prey to unmanliness. Very harsh word he uses. Klebhyam mas magama partha naitvata yupapaddate shudram hridaya dorbalyam taktotishta parantapa. And giving the gist of this message of this particular sentence, Swami Vivekananda says, if this message is proclaimed to the whole world, then all fear, all misery, all weakness will disappear from this earth within 3 days. So he gives the gist and says, all fear, all bondage, all weakness is imagination. Speak one word to it and it must vanish. If death comes, that is the worst of our miseries. Let it come. We are determined to die again. That should be the attitude with which we should fight with the problems of our daily life. Then we will get rid of all our depression, of all our disappointment, of all our despondency, and get happiness and peace in everyday life, and also get eternal happiness in life. Eternal happiness and eternal peace in the life. So that is the message that is given by Shri Krishna to Arjuna, very strong dose. What happens? Arjuna so far was lecturing Shri Krishna and was explaining why we should not fight, why it is bad and all that. Now after getting strong dose of Shri Krishna, Arjuna understands his position. So he calms down. He comes down. And then he says, yes, Lord, what you are saying is right. I have been overpowered with weakness. I have become a coward. Yes, you are very true. I acknowledge my mistake. Now you please tell me what I should do. This is the result of the strong dose. And says, Karpalnya dosho pahata svabhavaha prichhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha yasya sha nishchitam bruhi tanme Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. I am your disciple. I surrender myself to you. I really do not know what I should do, what I should not do, whether I should fight, whether I should not fight, what I should do, what I should not do. I am really perplexed. I do not know what I should do. Please tell me, give a decision as to what I should do. It is believed that this shloka is very important. If somebody is having indecisiveness, is suffering from indecisiveness, is in dilemma, is not able to decide about a particular course of action, is in depression, is very much in problem, then he should sleep with this shloka, chanting this shloka with full earnestness, and in the dream, he will get the solution of his problem. That is what is believed. This is a very important shloka. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava. And then, after this, when Arjuna surrenders himself completely, after that what does he do? Again he says, but I am not going to fight, and sits down again. So, Sri Krishna says, still this fellow is under delusion. So what does he do? Sri Krishna smiles. Prasanniva Bharata. He smiles. Arjun, you are talking like a very wise person, but wise person do not grieve neither for dead, nor for living they grieve. But you are grieving and you are weeping. This is not the sign of a wise man. You are talking like a wise man. Yes, talking like a very wise man. But your action does not resemble it. No. And then Sri Krishna directly starts with the highest teaching. The shortest cut he gives for bringing knowledge, for bringing that infinite happiness and peace. What is that? The knowledge of the self. Natve vaham jatunasam natvemne neme janadipa nachevena bhavishyamaha sarve vayamataparam. It is not that I and you and these kings were not living in the past, they were living. It is not that they will not live in the future, they will live. Because self can never be destroyed. The Atman which is within the body can never be destroyed. The bodies are subject to death, but self can never die. And gives a beautiful simile. What is that? That says, Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinhati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sanyati navani dehi. Just as a man changes his dress, his clothes, and takes up new clothes, gives up the old clothes and takes up the new clothes. Similarly, the soul, the self, gives up the old body, that is called death, and takes up a new body. That's all about death. Why are you worried about death? Why are you so much afraid of death? Death means changing the dress. Do you feel depressed when you change a dress? No. You feel joy. You ask the children, they are sitting here, when they get new dress, they feel so happy. Nowadays there is a fashion. They want more and more new fashionable dress. And the fashion changes so quickly. And so there is a problem for the parents. Again they say, no, now new fashion has changed. You give us new dress. So they want new clothes. New fashionable dress they want. So when somebody gives up the old dress and takes up a new fashion dress, one feels joy. Similarly, this soul gives up the old body and takes up a new body. You should feel joy rather than suffering. Why are you miserable? Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na tai chainam kledyantyaapo, na shoshyati maruta, achedyoyam, adayoyam, akledyo ashoshevacha, nitya saragata sthanur, achaloyam sanatana. See, this Atman can never be cut. Weapons do not cut it, fire does not burn it, water also does not moisten it, and wind does not dry it. Achedyoyam, adayoyam, akledyo ashoshevacha, nitya saragata sthanur, achaloyam sanatana. This self is indeed incapable of being cut, of being burnt, of being moistened, and of being dried. It is eternal, all-pervading, stable, immovable, and primordial. That is the nature of the soul. Why are you afraid? This soul can never die. It is the body which dies. The soul never dies. And you are that soul. You are just changing the new dress. That's all. Why are you afraid of death? When Alexander the Great came to India, he was told by his guru, master, when you are going to India, please bring a gift for me. So what gift I should bring? You see, there are so many things available in so many countries, but in India you get very good saints. You bring a very good saint for me. That is not available in other countries. Bring a very good saint. So Alexander was in search of a saint, good saint. He was passing through a forest. He saw a saint meditating on a bit of rock, fully immersed in meditation, and very bright face, calm and serene face. He is meditating. He became very much impressed. When he opened the eyes, then Alexander started talking to him, and he became very much impressed by his wisdom. And he said, you see, my guru has told me, my teacher has told me to bring a saint. I liked you. Please come to my country. I'll build a beautiful palace for you and I will give you so many new clothes, new dresses and very nice food I will give you. Please come to my country. Then the saint started laughing. You fool, I'm very happy here, sitting under a tree. I don't need any palace. I'm very happy living under a tree. This river gives me beautiful water. This tree gives me beautiful trees. I don't need any food and I don't need any clothes. The sky is my cloth. I'm so happy. Why should I come to your country? No. I have promised my teacher I'll bring a saint. I'm impressed by you. You have to come. No, I will not come. No, you have to come. I will not come. Now the Alexander the Great, he was never prepared to hear a no from anyone. He never knew that. Anybody could say no to him. He immediately drew out the sword. If you don't come, I'll kill you. Then the saint started laughing. That is the most foolish thing you ever said, my dear prince. Emperor, that is the most foolish thing you ever said. Don't you know? Your sword cannot kill me. The fire cannot burn me. The water cannot melt me. The air cannot dry me. Don't you know? I am birthless, deathless, ever pure, ever blissful Atman. Nainam chindati shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledintyapo, na shoshyati maruta, achedyoyam, adayoyam, akledyo, ashoshevacha, nitya sargadasthanu, achalayam sanatana. I am that ever pure, ever blissful Atman. Nothing can be done by a sword. Alexander had never seen any human being standing in front of him when he drew out the sword. Everybody would faint. And here's the person laughing at him. And he fainted. He fainted, fell down. His sword fell down. Then the saint said, you fool, you want me to take to your country? I can see through my third eye. You yourself are not going to reach your country. And this has exactly happened. The history tells Alexander could not reach his country. He died on the way. And while he was dying, he told the people, you see, when you put me into the grave, please make my hands like this. Let my hands be like this, in this position, when you put me into grave. Why? Let the whole world know, let the whole world receive the message. Alexander conquered the whole world, but could not conquer his mind like that yogi, and so now he is going empty-handed. That yogi is going full of bliss, and I am going empty-handed. These are my hands. Nothing I could carry. I conquered the whole world, going empty-handed. That saint did not conquer the world, but conquered himself. And he is full of bliss. Ever pure, ever blissful. Let the whole world receive the message. That is the message of the Gita. The message of immortal soul. Permanent happiness. Eternal bliss you get just by conquering yourself. Just by realizing the self, by self-knowledge. The highest knowledge immediately Sri Krishna gave to Arjuna. The knowledge of the self. You are that self. Why are you worried? Why do you worry? This misery is not for you. The self, it can never die. It is the body which dies. But Arjuna is like us, all of us. Yes, what you said is true, but, that but is there. But, how do I know? What is the proof that there is Atman? How do I know that the Atman lives? You say, yeah, what you say is true, but so Sri Krishna could see from the face of Arjuna, he is still not getting the message. So then he said, okay, if you think that this self is perishable, you think it is not imperishable, you think this self is perishable like a body, even then you should not grieve. Why? Because one day it has to die. Why not accept it? Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu, dhruvam janma mritasya cha, tasmad pariharyarthe, natvam shochitum arhasi. अथ चैनम नित्य जातम नित्यम वा मनसे मृतम तथापि तम महाबाहो नैवम शोचितुमर्हसि. If you think that this self is perpetually born and perpetually dies, even then, O mighty armed one, you ought not to grieve for it. Why? For to one who is born, death is certain, and to one who dies, rebirth is certain. Therefore, over this inevitable fact, you ought not to grieve. This is the fact of life. Accept the fact of life. This is the game of life. Game of life and death. Life and death go together. They are opposites and reverse of the same coin. So why do you worry? Life is followed by death. Death is followed by life. So it is going to come. Accept it. Then also you should not worry. And then also you should not grieve. And then Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyaktanidananyeva tatra ka paridevana आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कशिदेनम आश्चर्यवद तथैव चान्य आश्चर्यवच्चैन मन्यो शृणोति श्रुत्वापि न वेदन चैव कश्चित् देहि नित्यम अवध्योयम देहे सर्वस्य भारत तस्मात् सर्वाणि भूतानि न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि. You should not grieve because this body is always going to die and the self is never going to die. Knowing this fact, if you are self, you are not going to die. And this body, if you think that you are a body, then also you see, I don't believe in self. I believe only in body. Okay. If you think that you are a body, then you are going to die. That is certain. When you are going to die, can you escape from death? No. Then accept it. If you cannot escape, then accept it. Why do you worry? One day it is to die. Be prepared for death. Then also you should not worry. Then also you should not grieve. From both the points of view, Sri Krishna gives the argument that it is not fit for you to become anxious for your death. It is to come, it is to come. One of our very senior Swamijis, now he is no more, he was living in Vasishtha Guha in Rishikesh with Swami Purushottamanaji Maharaj. So Nishchalanandaji Maharaj also was given sannyas diksha from Purushottamanaji Maharaj, same Purushottamanaji Maharaj who was a direct disciple of Swami Brahmanandaji, who was a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. So he was there in Vasishtha Guha. Night there would be problem. He had to go out for some purpose, but then he would be afraid because there are a lot of tigers all around. So he was little hesitant. Purushottamanaji Maharaj discovered it. Then he called him one day. Just tell me, you are afraid of what? Afraid of what? I am afraid of tigers. What will happen if the tigers come? What will happen? You will die, isn't it? At the most you will die. At the most. Or anything else can happen. No, at the most, worst come worst, I will die. Death will come. Can you escape death? Supposing the tiger does not come and you go on living here in this cave, will you not die? Without tiger also? Yes. So, whether you die from the mouth of a tiger or from the mouth of a cave, what does it matter? Death is certain. After all, you are afraid of death. Death you are not able to escape. So why are you afraid? Then he meditated that day on this teaching of Purushottamanaji Maharaj. Very true. He made self-analysis. After all, why I am afraid to go out in darkness? At the worst come worst, a tiger may come. And if a tiger come worst, I will die. And that is going to happen even otherwise also. So why should I worry? So he became fearless. But he had to meditate too much, not once. Started thinking, yes, what will happen? What will happen? Worst come worst, what will happen? Worst come worst, death will come. Okay, we are ready to face death. Once he said, okay, I am ready to face death, then he became fearless. And then he started going out at night. But he received a great message. But that message, when it is received from a realized soul, it makes a lot of difference. There is some weight behind that message. One who is realized, that fearlessness, when that message received from that person directly, it makes a lot of difference. And then when you meditate, then meditation is necessary. Again and again, only one time thinking will not do. Meditating on that, then gradually the strength and the power comes. So, all these things are told by Sri Krishna to Arjuna. But even now Arjuna is sitting like this. So, Sri Krishna understood all have gone bouncers above the head. Whatever bowling he has been done, the Arjuna is not yet even taking up the bat in his hand. All bouncers. So now he has to come down again to practical level. So philosophy will not work. So he says, Swadharmam api chaveksha na vikampitu marhasi dharmadhi yuddha sheyonyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Now forget about soul and this and that. Okay, come down to level. Are you a warrior or not? You are a warrior. You are Kshatriya. But for a Kshatriya also it does not befit thee to give up the war which has come to your door. The door of heaven has been opened because it is told when a Kshatriya dies in a holy war, he goes to heaven. Here is the door of heaven open for you. A war has come uninvited. This opportunity has come to you. Had you gone for war yourself, it would have been different thing. But it has come to you unasked. This gate of heaven is open. Then gives a beautiful argument. He says, Hato va prapsasi swargam jitva va bhokshase mahim tasmad uttishta kaunteya yuddhaya krita nishchaya. You see, if you die, at the most you may die. If you die in the battlefield, you will go to heaven. And if you don't die, there is another choice also. You may win the war. You may win. If you win the war, you will enjoy the whole earth. And if you die, you enjoy the whole heaven. So both the times, in both the ways, if you fight, if you take up the war, it is beneficial from both the points of view. Tasmat uttishta kaunteya yuddhaya krita nishchaya. That is why, get up and fight. Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayu tato yuddhaya yujasva naivam papamapsasi. So, you are thinking, I will incur lot of sin by killing these people. But if you take up this work, taking labha labho jaya jayu, whether in victory or defeat, if you can have an equanimity of mind, if you be unattached to the fruits of action, then sin will not be incurred by you. Sin comes only if you are getting attached to the fruits. So now, Sri Krishna takes up another path. Gyan Yoga, he has tried to convince Arjuna, but somehow the other he is not in a position to take up that Gyan Yoga. It is too difficult for him. Okay, now Sri Krishna says, Karma Yoga. Okay, I will give you the teaching of Karma Yoga by which you will be able to get off the delusion. Esha te bhita sankhe buddhi yoge tvimam shunu buddhya yukto yeha partha karma bandham prahasasi. The mental attitude towards the self has just been taught to you. That is from the jnana point of view. Now hear about it in respect of the way of action from Karma Yoga point of view. Being endowed with which, O Partha, you will get rid of the bondage of actions. And the beauty of this Karma Yoga is Neha abhikramanashosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapyasa dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this Karma Yoga, there is no waste of any undertaking nor chance of incurring sin. Even the least bit of this religion saves one from great danger. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Great danger can be avoided by even single small practice of this Karma Yoga. And second advantage of this one is, there is no pratyavayo. There is no reverse action. There are some medicines, if you take, there will be reaction. If it does not affect, it may give reaction. But there are medicines which are harmless. This Karma Yoga is harmless. At least it will not produce any adverse effect. At the most it may not work, but there will be no adverse action. But Gyan Yoga, if you don't understand properly, if you misunderstand, it may harm you also. Yes, sometimes it is harmful because some people, they just take up Gyan Yoga in their own way, they interpret it. One doctor was there. He was telling, I like Gita very much. Then he was asked, do you read Gita every day? No, I read Only one shloka, that's all. I like only one shloka. Do you read it? Do you repeat every day? No. Not always. When I go for operation, that day I repeat. What is that shloka? You don't know that shloka. Maya veta nihita purumevam nimitta matram bhave savyasachin. Oh Arjun, already I have killed all of them. You are only nimitta. So when I go to the operation theatre, I think Lord has already killed. I am only nimitta. So I feel nice with Gita. So they take this Gyan Yoga in their own way. That is harmful. That means he'll be killing more and more patients on the operation theatre, taking that knowledge of Gita. Already God has killed. I am just going to be an instrument. With that instrument, I have to finish the person. God has already finished. I am only an instrument in finishing him. That will be pratyavayo. That will be reverse action. Sometimes you don't practice and just go on preaching. That is more harmful. There is one Panditji, So he used to give discourses on Gita. So many people will come. One of the persons who used to come regularly did not come for few days. Then when he came for satsang, hey, what happened? You were so regular for so many days, you did not come. You see what happened, that my father died, and so I had to do a lot of other work, and so I was busy in that. What is there if your father dies? In Gita already you have heard from me so many times. That the other day also you heard that dying is nothing, it is just changing clothes. So your father's self has just changed the clothes. What is there? Vasansi jirna yatha vihaya. Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya navane grinati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sanyati navani dehi. Just as a man changes the dress, so a soul changes the body. So he has changed the body, that's all. Why should you get grieved for that, for this purpose? Like that he said. Then he said, yes, it's my mistake, now I'll be regular. He started regular. After few days, one day he found Panditji is weeping. He himself is weeping. One who was giving discourse is weeping. What happened? My cow has died. That day, other day, you tell that you told my father died, that is only Vasansi Jirnani Vitaya, only he has changed the dress. So what death, if somebody dies, you should not grieve. Now you are grieving for cow. You see, father was yours and cow is mine. That is the problem. So we are very good at preaching others, giving preaching to others. But when it comes to practice, we are very far behind. So in Gyan Yoga, sometimes it happens, you start giving Jnana to others and you don't practice, so then it gives a reverse action. So that is why in Karma Yoga, there is no pratyavayo. Pratyavayo na vidyate. That is, in this there is no waste of any undertaking, nor chance of incurring sin. Even the least bit of this religion saves one from great danger. And then Sri Krishna tells the very important shloka, which is the gist of Karma Yoga. That is, Karmanevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karmafal heturubhu mate sangosta akarmani. To work alone you have the right, but never claim its results. Let not the results of action be your motive, nor be attached to inaction. Many people, they misunderstand this shloka. They say, if I am not going to get any result, why should I work? Where will be the motive? Sri Krishna doesn't say that you will not get the result. He says, your attention should not be on the result. You fix up a target, that's all. Then work. That's why Swami Vivekananda says in his book, that is work and its secret. One of the greatest lessons I have learnt in my life is to pay as much attention to the means as to the ends. Once you have fixed up the end, finish. Now, give full attention to the means. Go on the path. Forget about the ideal. Whole concentration should be on the means. Target has been fixed. But if you are always thinking about the result, then your mind will be diverted towards the result, and to that extent your concentration will be disturbed. Another thing what will happen, if you always think about the result, sometimes you think that the result will be bad, then you will be full of tension. Sometimes you will think the result will be good, then you become elated, and your attention does not go to the work. So the idea is, you have only the right to act. Karmani vadhikaraste. Your right is only to work. You don't have the right to the fruits thereof. Ma phaleshu kadachana. That does not mean you will not get the fruits. No. The law of karma says every work produces result. As you sow, so you reap. If you do a good action, you will get good result. If you do a bad action, you will get a bad result. This is the law of karma. This is like a lighthouse principle. Nobody can change it. You have to accept it. If you don't accept it, well, even then the law will act. This is like law of gravitation. In the physical world, law of gravitation is supreme. In the mental world, the law of karma is supreme. This is called lighthouse principle. There is a beautiful book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In that he gives a beautiful example. There was a ship going, and the other side there was some light is being seen. So somebody told the captain, there is some light being seen. It seems there is a ship coming from that side. So the captain gave a message over the wireless. Please move your ship by 20 degrees, otherwise it will collide. The message came from the other side over wireless. Please move your ship. Now the captain was very much annoyed. He again sent the message. I am the captain of the ship, commanding you to move your ship. Who is at the other end? Then the message came, Sir, I am a humble operator of the lighthouse. If you don't want to move, then you die. I don't mind. So there are certain principles which are like lighthouse principles. If you don't believe, well, even then the laws will act. Go to a very multi-story building in Durban. I don't know the tallest building, how many floors? 40 floors? 20 floors? Go to the tallest building of Durban and then you declare, I don't believe in the law of gravitation, and jump. What happens? Your photograph will be in the newspaper. This person did not believe in the law of gravitation, and yet the law of gravitation worked and he died on the spot. So whether you believe in the law or not, the law will act. So whether you believe in the law of karma or not, the law of karma will operate. And the law of karma states, if you do a good action, you will get good result. If you do a bad action, you will get a bad result. But many people tell me, I have seen with my own eyes, honest people are suffering and dishonest people are thriving. How do you account for that? What is your justification? Wait. There is a person having only 500 rands in his account. Only 500 rands. And he is driving a very beautiful car and having nice dress and having nice bungalow and enjoying. Only 500 rands in his bank account, current account. Another person having 10,000 rands in his current account, but he is driving a very, very second-hand car and very small house is living. How do you account? Well, you have seen only the current account, but fixed deposit you have not seen. That fellow is having millions of rands in his fixed deposit, and some he has kept in Switzerland also. And so he is nicely enjoying. So, but we are seeing only the current account. Similarly, when we say, oh, this person is so honest, yes, he is suffering, and this fellow is doing the bad action, he is doing bad, and still he is enjoying. Wait. He is enjoying not for his bad action now, but he had that fixed deposit of the previous birth, so much work he has done. And this is only temporary phenomena. This work that he is doing is also going to bear fruits. After some time you will find his son has become drug addict, daughter has got disease, cancer. This all things will come to him. But wait, it takes time. When I go to the youths and I tell them law of karma is supreme, they say, oh, what you say? I say, if you plant a tamarind tree, you will get tamarind. If you plant a mango tree, you will get mango. Then he says, Swamiji, you are wrong. I planted a mango tree and I got tamarind. I said, it cannot happen. When did you plant the mango tree? Yesterday. And what did you get today? Tamarind. Yes, but this tamarind is not yesterday's tree. It is 10 years back, what you had planted. And this mango that you have planted yesterday will be a fruit, but not now. It will take 5 years, 10 years. But papaya tree will take only 2 years. So every karma has got its own time to be a fruit, but law of karma is supreme. Some work takes time to mature, but it has to come. If there is not a single act that you have done in life which will go in vain, if you have done some small good action, it will be a fruit today, tomorrow or day after. And if you have done a small bad action, evil action, it will be a fruit today, tomorrow or day after. It will not go anywhere. You cannot change it. Law of karma is supreme. So, it is not that Shri Krishna is telling you will not get the fruits of your action. You will certainly get the fruit of action. But it is going to come automatically. Why try to give so much attention to the result? If you give attention to result, what happens? If you start expecting the result, then your attention is diverted, you are not able to do good work. Another thing, if you keep 1,000 rands in the fixed deposit for 5 years, you will get good interest. But if you keep it for 10 years, you will get more than double. Not only double, more than double interest. But if you keep it for 50 years, still more. But if you say, I don't want interest, then it will go multiply infinite time. Infinite result you will get. Your action is little, but because the time is unlimited, the result becomes unlimited. Infinite. That means you will get God. A is directly proportional to R is directly proportional to A. That means result is directly proportional to action. As you sow, so you reap. That is the law of karma. And I further say, it is not in any book, it may be wrong, but I have put it like this: R is equal to A multiplied by T, where A is equal to action, R is equal to result, and T is the time lag between result and action. Now when T is 5 years, you get more result. If it is T is 10 years, you get still more result. But if T is equal to infinite, then A may be limited, but multiplied by infinite, anything multiplied by infinite becomes infinite. So though your action is very limited, but when you wait for the infinite time, that means you don't expect the result. Even a small action if you do for God, but I say I have done this work without expectation of any result, it gives infinity. That means God. That is Karma Yoga. Do everything, whatever you want to do, but without expectation. Do it in the spirit of worship. Then what happens? You will get the result of that action automatically because of the law of karma, plus you will get God extra benefit. God. Infinite. Infinite happiness, infinite bliss, infinite joy. That is what you get. So that is why Shri Krishna says, Karmani vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phal heturbhu mate sangosta akarmani. To work alone you have the right, but never claim its result. Your attention should not be on the result. If your attention is towards the result, automatically your attention will be diverted. There was a student, he was studying. But his father told him that if you study properly and if you get good results, then I'll send you to America for higher studies. Now the person started studying, the boy started studying. And he's studying, he's turning the pages. His eyes are on the book, but his mind has started thinking, my father has told if I get good result, he'll send me to America. Oh, that's wonderful. So if I get good result, then my father will send to America. Again few pages he's reading. Acha, so if I go to America, which university I should take admission? Hollywood or California? No, Hollywood will be better, then I'll be able to see good pictures also. Then again few pages. Oh, should I stay in the hostel or should I stay with a relative? No, I should stay in hostel because then I will get more freedom to go out. Like this, he is turning his pages and thinking, whole book has finished 1 hour. And he is thinking about Hollywood. Now, what will be the result? Can he go to America? He will fail in the examination and father will say, enough of study, now come to the grocery shop, start our grocery. So, Sri Krishna says, your attention should not be on the result. Don't think about the result. If you think about result, your work will suffer. If you want your work to be perfect, you have fixed up the goal, now full attention should be on the study. Automatically, you will get a very good result, automatically. Because the law of karma says, if you work hard, you are going to get result. If you work today or tomorrow, you have to wait for some time. You have to have patience, but it has to come. None can destroy it. That is the beauty of the karma yoga. So, yogastha kuru karmani, sangam tekta dhananjaya, siddhya siddhyo samobhutva, samattam yoga uchyate. What is yoga? This is karma yoga. Yoga is got different connotations. Yoga is a very baffling word and a very confusing word. Yoga, nowadays yoga going on, that is physical exercise. That yoga is not different from this yoga. Yoga means, it has come from the yuj dhatu. Yuj means yoke. Yuj and yoke, both are the same word. That means to join. Anything that makes us join with God, that is yoga. Yoga means how to get God realization. Joins us with our Atman, joins us with Paramatman, joins us with God. That is the path which leads us to God, that is called yoga. And there are 4 yogas. Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga. One of the branches of Raj Yoga is Hatha Yoga, and out of Hatha Yoga, there are some asanas for making your body fit. Nowadays, these asanas are called yogas. So, normally, connotation is, are you doing yoga? Yes, I am doing yoga. Every day morning, I do Hatha is Yogasana. No, that is only part of Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga is a part of Raj Yoga, and Raj Yoga is one of the 4 yogas by which you can reach God. The ultimate aim is to reach God. Ultimate aim is to reach infinite happiness, infinite bliss. But this yoga is only for keeping your body fit. That also should be done. But that is not the all, be and all. That has to be remembered. So here, yogastu kuru karmani sangam tektva dhananjaya siddhya siddho samobhutva samattam yoga uchyate. Established in yoga, O Dhananjaya, Arjuna, perform actions, giving up attachment and unconcerned as to success or failure. This equanimity is called yoga. Equanimity of mind. What happens? We don't have equanimity of mind. When success comes, we become so elated, we become proud, none like me. And then when failure comes, we become depressed. We become terribly depressed. We become despondent, miserable. No. A true karma yogi does not get affected by either success or failure, because he thinks, I am not the doer. Lord is the doer. He gives the result. That is why Sri Krishna says, remember, your right is only to work. Fruit is not in your hand. Fruit is in my hand. I will give you at proper time. I know when I should give. That I have reserved with me. But what we say, karmani vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Fruits you do not have the right to fruit. Then what do you say? If I do not have the right to fruit, I will not work. I will not work. No, work you must. Sri Krishna knows immediately the response will be, if I am not going to be bothered about the fruits of action, I will not work. I will become inactive. No. You should not be attached to inaction also. Karmani vadhikarasti ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phale heturbu. You should not be attached to result. Mate sangost akarmani. And you should not be attached to inaction also. Action you must do. But we are reverse. We say either I will do action, then I will have result. If I don't want to have result, I will not act. Sri Krishna says, you must act. Don't perform, don't bother about result. What we say, I will not act, but I will ask for the result. No. So this is why it says, yogastha, become a yogi. That is, have that equanimity of mind. Durena hyavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanamanvicha kripana falahetava. Far inferior is work prompted by desire to work done through wisdom. O Dhananjaya, take refuge in wisdom. Those who are impelled by results are miserable. They become miserable. All of us become miserable when we are just thinking about result, when we are working for result. When the result does not come, then we become miserable. It takes time sometimes to get the result of our action. We become miserable. Sri Krishna says, no, go on doing action. Go on doing work without expectation of result. Your attention should not result. It will come automatically, but don't bother about it. Be equal, have equanimity of mind, whether when you get success or failure, because you are just an instrument. Buddhi yukta jahatiha ubhe sukrit dushrute tasmat yogaya yujasva yoga karma sukoshalam. What a wonderful shloka. This gives the gist of karma yoga. If you want happiness in everyday life, if you want success in everyday life, we must know the art of working. We must know the science of working. This science and art of working has been given here. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yoga is nothing but dexterity in action. Efficiency in action. They are talking now in the main field of management about TQM. Total Quality Management. Zero defect. Sri Krishna has told about zero defect thousands of years ago. Kaushalam. Yoga karmasa kaushalam. What is yoga? Karmasa kaushalam. 100% efficiency should be there. Zero defect should be there. A karma yogi, whatever work he does with perfection. Karmasu kaushalam. He does it with kaushalam. He does it with perfection. 100% perfection. That is karma yoga. A karma yogi will never do a work which is not efficient. His efficiency automatically comes because his whole mind is given to work. Second thing, this karmasu kaushalam, this dexterity is not only efficiency, but something else. What is that? Equanimity of mind. A spirit of detachment also must be accompanied. Then only it will become a karma yoga. Then only it will become 100% perfect. What is the efficiency or dexterity or kaushala? When somebody goes for extracting honey, when you try to extract honey from the honeycomb, you extract in such a manner that not a single drop is wasted and all the honey comes, then you have done a perfect job. Isn't it? No. Sri Krishna says no. Another thing is there, when you are taking honey, it should be 100% perfect job. Every drop should come. At the same time, you should see that the bees do not bite you. Then you have done a perfect job. Similarly, whenever we try to do any action, the bee always bites us. What is that bee? Bee of fruit of action. When you do good action, the poison comes. When you do a good action, poison comes. What is that poison? Poison of bondage of karma. So that is why one of our Swamijis used to say, you are doing karma yoga or karma bhoga? Most of the time we are doing karma bhoga. Why? Whatever work we are doing, bhoga has to come. Bhoga means, if you do good action, good result will come. Good result will come, that will give you happiness, that will give you bondage. Then again, you are away from God. A bad result will come, bad result will give you suffering. Then also, you are miserable, you are away from God. Both good and bad actions are going to give you bondage. So work in such a manner that the bondage does not come. Work in such a manner that the bees do not bite you. Then you have done a perfect job. So Kaushalam means two things. Number one, the job should be done perfection, with 100% perfection. Secondly, it should be done with an equanimity of mind. Samatvam yoga uchyate. It will be done with samatva buddhi, neither attached to action nor attached to inaction, neither attached to success nor attached to failure. If this samatva buddhi is not there, your work will not become a yoga. It will not become karma yoga. It will become a karma bhoga, because it will bring bhoga. Either happiness is also bhoga and misery is also bhoga. Pap and punya, both are bhoga. If you want to be beyond pap and punya, beyond happiness and misery, beyond all the bondages and realize God, then you have to see that you are not bitten by the bees. That means you remain detached. Attachment should not be there. If attachment comes, even if you are 100% efficient, your efficiency will go down. Example, there was a surgeon, very efficient surgeon. So far, not a single case has failed. He is such an expert in carrying out operations. For him, it is very easy to perform operation. A very, very expert surgeon. Major operations also being carried out by him, and many people come from far up places to bring patients to him for operation because he is so efficient. But today, what has happened? Today he says, I will not perform operation, please take him to another surgeon. My God, it's a very minor operation, and yet the surgeon says, please take this patient to another surgeon. I will not be able to perform this operation because I am feeling nervous. What is the matter? So many major operations you have carried out, never it has failed, and you do it so swiftly, so quickly, and you are such an expert. Compared to those operations, this operation is a minor operation, and yet you are saying you are feeling nervous. What is the matter? Well, the matter is only this. So many operations were performed, so many patients have been operated upon by him successfully. He never felt any lack of confidence. He never felt nervousness even while performing major operations. But today, a minor operation is there, but he is feeling nervous. Why? Because the person who is sitting there as a patient is his own son. And so, when he starts thinking, suppose this if comes, if my son dies on the operation theatre, what will happen? This result has come. This anxiety about the result has come. If something happens to me, but about the other patient, he is not bothered. Let him die, what is there? I will get my fees in advance. He has taken the fees in advance. Whether he dies or not, what to do? He's just gone, cut. He goes on operating. I hope there is no surgeon here. But when it comes to operating his own son, my God, supposing if the operation is not successful, and then he hearts it. No, my God. Then his hand is shivering like this. He says, no, take this patient to some other doctor. I cannot operate. That is the crux of the whole thing. Our action in everyday life doesn't become karma yoga because we are attached. Attachment is the source of all our misery. That is why Swami Vivekananda says, Work and its Secret, beautiful book. Attachment is the source of all our miseries. Be unattached. That is the main chief message of Bhagavad Gita. Be unattached. Let the brain centers work. But let not a ripple conquer your mind. Be unattached. Don't get attached. Unattachment is the secret of Karma Yoga. And that is the secret of living in the world. Sri Ramakrishna says, the purpose of life is to realize God. Then the devotee said, then have we to go to the forest? Have we to go to the caves? Can we not realize God while living in the world? Yes, you can. You did not give up your family life while doing whatever work you are doing. You are a housewife doing kitchen work, you are a doctor doing your medical profession, you are a teacher, whatever work you are doing, carrying out the same work without giving up your family life, while leading a householder's life and carrying out your daily life, you can realize God. But only one thing you should remember. What is that? If boat stays in water, there is no problem. But if water stays in boat will sink. You remain in the world, no problem. But the world should not enter into your mind. Your mind should not be full of worldliness, otherwise you will die. So remain in the world, but remain unattached. Padma Patra Mivambasa. That is what Bhagavad Gita will say. Sri Ramakrishna also says, Padma Patra Mivambasa. Live in the world, but live in a detached manner. Then the poison of these karmas will not enter into you and you can realize God. But remain unattached. Live in the world, but don't get attached to this. So how can we do that? The devotees asked. How can we remain in the world leading a householder's life? Because normally we get attached. So how can we remain unattached? Then Sri Ramakrishna gives a beautiful example. Live in the world like a maid servant. The maid servant, in rich persons, those who are very rich people, they always keep a maid servant. Because the mistress is very fat, so she cannot work, So the maid servant has to work, and the maid servant has to look after the child of this mistress, because she cannot do anything. So the maid servant takes up the child, my dear Hari, please come, and then she says, my dear Hari, please take bath, and she bathes that child, and then, my dear Hari, please take food, and she feeds the child. Likewise, the maid servant does all the work, and she takes care of the child, and my dear Hari, please take food, my dear Hari, please take bath, but whenever she says, my dear Hari, please take food, at that time, she knows, this is not my Hari. My real Hari, my real child is living there in the village, in a hut. She always remembers that. She knows, not that she does not love this Hari. She loves the child of this mistress. She loves, but she is not attached. And so she knows, this is not my child. My dear Hari, please take food. My dear Hari, please take bath. Whenever she says, my dear Hari, she knows, this is not my Hari. My Hari is in the village. Again she says, my dear Hari. She says, this is not my Hari. My Hari is in the village. And so, one fine morning, the mistress is very angry. You fool! You have broken my new plate. I brought it from Japan. Go, get out. And so, the maid servant goes out. She is not bothered. She immediately gets out. Because she will get a better job. Very difficult to get a maid servant. But for maid servant, not difficult to get another job. This is in India, I don't know in South Africa. But there, very easy to get another job for maid servant. For maid servant, very difficult to get maid servant. So she goes away happily. Afterwards, the mistress, she has in her anger, she has told, get out. She has gone away also. Now she feels very repentant because all the work she has to do, and then she gets back pain, and then she has to go to physiotherapy. 6,000 rand expenditure. that plate was only 10 rand. This is 6,000 rand. Then she says, oh my God, what did I do? And afterwards she can't get a maid servant. And that Hari, that child is so whips because he will not take food from this mistress. He wants the food from that maid servant because he has become familiar with that maid servant. The Hari weeps, but that maid servant does not weep. She has not felt a little bit of misery also, because she knew right from the beginning, this is not my Hari. So she was not attached to this Hari. So she does not feel any pinch. She knows my Hari is in the village. But this Hari feels a suffering without her, but she does not feel. Why? Because all along she was detached. So Sri Ramakrishna says, live in the world, but live like that maid servant, completely detached. Do your work, but know that this world does not belong to you. One fine moment there will be a call from above, and you have to give up this body, give up your wife, children, parents, everybody you have to give up. That does not mean that you should be cruel to them. Love them. Love all of them. Love your parents, love your children, love your wife, love your husband, love your friends, everybody. But there should not be any attachment. Remember, reserve the power of detachment. Any moment I will call. And the real person whom I should love is my beloved Lord. I have to go to Him. He alone is my beloved. जो कुछ है सो तू ही है. There's a beautiful song. तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है. एक तुझको अपना पाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है. सोचा समझा देखा भाला, तुझ जैसा न कोई ढूंढ निकाला. अब यह समझ में जफर की आया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है. The last Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar wrote this beautiful song that was the favorite song of both Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. He is the only beloved to whom we should love. And so don't get attached to the world. Live in the world. Do all your actions. Love all, but remember, the world does not belong to you. Live in the world like that maid servant. That is the message given by Shri Krishna here, that do all your actions, but don't get detached, don't get attached. Attachment is the source of all our misery, and this will come through the steadiness of mind. But how to get steadiness of mind? I thought I have got a steadiness of mind. Arjuna so long thinking that I have got a steady mind. Shri Krishna says, no, you don't have a steady mind. Then what are the qualities of a steady mind? How do I remember, how do I recognize a steady mind? A person with a steady mind? Sita pragyasya ka bhasha, samadhistasya keshava, sitati kim prabhasheta, kimashita vrajata kim. How a person with steady mind sits, how does he talk, how does he behave? Let me know. Then only I will recognize. And then beautifully, Shri Krishna gives all the qualities of a studied person and how these qualities can come. All these things we will try to discuss tomorrow. Today we finish here. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.